Creating department budgets. Mary explains it all. Departmental budgets. First, the definition. A departmental budget is one that's created for each division or department of your company, created in collaboration between the accounting and finance departments and the department heads. You may be asking, why does my business need a departmental budget? Why is it so essential? Well, budgets help allocate resources efficiently, ensuring that each department has the necessary funds to operate effectively. They provide a framework for monitoring spending, helping to prevent overspending and ensure that departments stay within their financial limits. Budgets align departmental goals with the organization's overall objectives, promoting strategic planning and prioritization. By comparing actual spending against the budget, organizations can assess departmental performance and make informed decisions. Budgets establish clear expectations, making departments accountable for their financial decisions and outcomes. They assist in predicting future financial needs and trends, aiding in long-term planning. And finally, budgets facilitate communication among departments and with upper management, fostering collaboration and transparency. Overall, departmental budgets are crucial for maintaining the financial health of your business and supporting the organization's overall goals. Sounds great, Mary, but how? How do we get started? Well, first things first, you need to source your data. Does your accounting system, chart of accounts, have an account for every single expense and revenue by every single department or division? For example, do you have a meals and entertainment account for sales and marketing, a meals and entertainment account for warehouse, a meals and entertainment account for human resources, for finance, for corporate, etc., etc.? Or do you use a program like QuickBooks where they have class features? Classes are like departments, but you have one general ledger account, meals and entertainment, and then you have a class for each one of your departments. This is a really cool feature because it allows you to look holistically at what you spend in each general ledger account category: meals and entertainment, postage, rent, utilities, and be able to look at it by department, location, just a really granular level. And it allows you to be able to say, what happens if we were to combine human resources and finance together? What would those expenses look like if we made them one budget category? And it makes it clear and easy for you to look at. It's a really cool feature. And if you use QuickBooks, I highly recommend the class function because it does make all of this so much easier. And then projections. You need to have some information about where you've been and where you're going. In the past, we've historically done X, Y, and Z, but going into the future, we're going to be doing A, B, and C. A, B, and C are going to result in a 25% increase in revenue, but it's also going to have a correlating 18% hit on expenses. Being able to have some general knowledge about that, of what's going to be needed in the new year, is a necessary part of creating your budgets. Who's on first? What's on second? No, this is not a Laurel and Hardy skit, but rather how you go about determining which person in each department will be responsible for their department's budget creation and making sure that they stay on task. This person needs to be able to have access to the information needed to create their budget. They need to know, are there going to be staffing changes? Or is there going to be an additional location added? Are there new product lines or services being added? Do they know what the status of incoming projects for the next 12 months will look like? They need to have that information and be able to, you know, take a look at it and say, oh, I can extrapolate that if we're going to have a 23% increase in sales, our average cost of goods is 18%. So our total net sales should be, and then be able to provide that data. They should have, some knowledge of finance and accounting, but they don't have to be a bookkeeper. They can be someone who just knows how to read data and process it, and hopefully have strong enough Excel skills so that they'll be able to work with the forms that will be prepared by finance and accounting for each team when they start creating their budgets. So by the time you reach this level, your accounting and finance team should have already prepared a standard one-size-fits-all spreadsheet for compiling your budget data. And now I know there are people that are going to say, but Mary, we always use this particular format, and it totally makes sense for us to have these two documents in Excel, this document in Word, and these pieces of paper that we're writing notes on that we scanned into PDF. That's great, but compiling all of the data into an Excel spreadsheet that matches all of the other ones will make it so much easier for accounting and finance to be able to create a compiled budget. So it's not just by department, but they're able to give a holistic by company compiled, easy to read departmental budget. If you have changes or some edits that you think need to be made, by all means, come and talk with us in finance. We're not scary people. We're reasonable, we'll listen, and if it seems like it's a really good idea for everybody, we're more than happy to sit there and make a few tweaks. We're not married to those spreadsheets, although it might feel like it for the amount of time we spend with them. Okay, so when do we start? Well, most departmental budgets are prepared on an annual basis. So during the fourth quarter of your company's calendar year or fiscal year, depending on how you report, is the best time to get started. And realistically, this project should not take more than 6 to 8 weeks maximum. And that is not every single day. That is just working around people's schedules and availability for meetings. But do start compiling data. And even once the budget is complete, during the next year, as you're learning more and more, keep a running list of, things to add for next year's budget. Just always kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, we're coming up on the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter. We need to have the budget done. In a perfect world, the budget needs to be finalized and approved by all the powers that be before the first day of the calendar year or fiscal year, depending on what your company uses. Now, that doesn't always work out quite like that, but that's what you want to aim for. It'll make your accountants happy. It'll make your finance and accounting team happy. It'll make your CEO happy. But make sure that you're not just rushing to get things done for the sake of getting them done. You want it done right, not fast. So start working on your budgets, start getting your data together, and start meeting as a team to make this happen. You might have to go through a couple different revisions before you get to that final document that you say, yes, this is it, it's presented, it's approved. Once it is, though, approved, make sure that finance, we're human, sometimes things slip through the cracks. Make sure that we've sent out not only the entire budget for the entire team, but that we also send out specifically your department or division's budget. So that way then you have the big picture, and then you have the This is what we are responsible for, picture. So, when do we start? Ideally, this process should be started by the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter of your company's fiscal or calendar year. And it'll take a couple of weeks. It's not like you're working on it full time. It's just working around people's schedules and availability. But start at the beginning of, at no later than the beginning of the fourth quarter. That way, then you have time to prepare your documents, meet as a team, review, discuss, go through a couple of different variations before you hit that final document that you present to your CEO and the powers that be. So this way you can get their magic wand blessing and have your budget in place and ready to go by the start of either the new calendar year or the new fiscal year, depending on your company. Once it's approved, kind of keep a reminder out there for your finance and accounting team. We're human. Sometimes things slip. Sometimes we forget. We're not perfect, despite what we might tell you. And make sure that they actually send out not only the full company departmental budget, but that they also send the portion of the budget that is just related to your division. That way, each person can see this is what the whole company is expected to do, and here is just our particular area to focus. So let's start wrapping this up. Departmental budgeting is an extremely important part of running your business. It provides you the roadmap of how you're going to get to those goals and achievements that you need to reach by the end of the year. When setting it up, though, keep in mind that you need to make sure your data is set up correctly. Make sure that any data used is based in reality. Don't say we're going to have a 500% increase in revenues and only a 2% increase in expenses. That's not real. What I like to do is I always think that when it comes to revenue, I have to be at least 85% sure that that money is going to be coming in. But expenses, if I have a 50% idea that it's going to happen, I'll include that. I'd rather have some wiggle room built into my budget. When you're putting together your data, make sure that it's explained clearly and that it's easy for somebody who's not familiar with your division, department, or finance, that they're able to actually understand what you're trying to communicate. Be mindful of sensitive information. Budgets include human resources information, salaries, benefits, etc. That's some pretty personal stuff. Make sure that if you're including things like that, that you are careful with who has access to that level of drill down information. And keep providing, with the assistance of your accounting and finance team, some ongoing reporting, budget versus actual data. It's nice to be able to see this is what we anticipated during Q4 of last year, and here's where we actually reached at the end of Q4 of this year. You might be surprised. Plus, keeping that information on hand and being able to keep an eye on it will definitely help you with planning the next year's departmental budget. So, this is Mary Explains It All, signing off and wishing you a happy budget season. Good luck. You can do this.